carding. Welcome to my blog .stampwithelaine.com. Today we're going to be making this really simple Christmas card. It uses the Cheerful Christmas stamp set. It's sort of got a Nordic theme to it, which is lovely. We're just making a different variation of this card. So to make this card you will need the Cheerful Christmas stamp set. I've got it in clear mount, so you will need a clear block to mount your stamps on, and I'm using block E. You will also need some silver Encore ink, Versamark ink, an embossing buddy, the filigree frame textured embossing folder, and also a heat tool and some clear embossing powder. I also used a Stamp-A-Majig so that I could make sure I place the stamp just where I want it. Now the textured embossing folders are really made for a 5.5 inch card, so I'm probably going to have to trim this down, so just bear with me. Bring my trimmer in and pop it at the 5.5 inch mark, and I'll just chop the ends off. So first I'll use my dust buddy to go over the card before I emboss it. Then, as that's going to be the front of my card, I'll need to put the embossing folder into the folder and line it up so that it's more or less equidistant all the way around. And then I'll use the multi-purpose platform on tab 1. So the bottom cutting plate, followed by my embossing folder with the cardstock inside, and then my top cutting plate. I always keep a pair of cutting plates just for embossing only, so that it doesn't mark it. And I'll go off and emboss this, and I'll be back. So remove the embossing folder, and now it's time to stamp. So I'll bring my Stamp-A-Majig in, and I'm going to use some Memento ink. This is my favourite ink now, because it doesn't leave marks and it's easy to clean off. I mean, there are some things you'll need stays on for, but for the other jobs I like this. To use the Stamp-A-Majig, you need, there's this sheet called, plastic sheet called the imaging sheet. So if you butt it up flush with the T-bar, I normally like to have my T-bar on the top, so you offer that up to the T-bar, flush with the T-bar, straight down and up. So I've already put Dust Buddy on this, but I will go over it again just to be on the safe side. Now the Stamp-A-Majig, this will help me get it exactly where I want the stamp to be. I want to leave a little bit down here, a gap down here, so I can put the ribbon. So that's where I want it. I butt my T-bar against the imaging sheet, and then this time I ink it up with the Versamark, and by using this method you can ink with any coloured ink to emboss with clear embossing powder. And that was a great tip that my fellow teammate, the lovely Hayley Gilly, passed on to us at our quarterly training recently. Make sure I've got it the right way up. Press firmly, straight off. Then our clear embossing powder. And by using clear embossing powder for any of the coloured inks, you don't get the residue or, you know, spots of powder on your cardstock. So it's very, very user friendly. Now I'll just get the heat tool on setting 2. Make sure it's hot enough, and then emboss. You can see it turning now. Okay, now we're going to do the inside of the card. So Dust Buddy, I keep on calling it a dust buddy, it's not, it's an embossing buddy. And I'm going to ink it up with the Versamark first, and we're using these 2 images. So Versamark, my silver encore ink, and then same with this image, the long ornament, silver encore ink, and then my clear embossing powder, if I can find it. And that's it. And this Stampin' Dazzle pen, and I'll just freehand draw that. Next we need the 1/4 inch circle punch. This is a handheld punch which is new in the catalogue. I do miss it not being in the catalogue, the crocodile, so officially I can't use it. So I'm going to punch 2 holes here. And these holes are for the ribbon. a stay put ribbon. I taught that many years ago when I first started demonstrating. So 2 little holes. Then we need this silver satin ribbon, so you go from behind and thread it to the first hole and down through the second hole, and then turn it over. You need to thread it up from the back to the front again to create the knot for that, and then just cut off a strip, cut off your ribbon and pop that through the hole from the back to come up through here, and that will give you a nice, what they call a stay put bow. So I'll just trim that off to make it neater. It'll be nice and flat for sending off. And that's your card finished. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. There's the one I made earlier in the gold with a few sequins, and that's the one with the silver bow. Using the same clear embossing powder, I stamped this in cherry cobbler instead, and you see you can just do it in any colours. So thank you, Hayley, for the top tip, and I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Come back for more inspiration next time. Thanks for watching.